everybody, it's me, Miss Guzman. Welcome back to Inside My Classroom. Today, I'm going to start a new segment of Inside My Classroom, which is more of a book talk segment. I'm thinking right now that I'm going to do the book talk more for books that are for teachers, things that are going to help us along with our career, not necessarily like lesson planning books or menu books, although I will talk about some of those too, but sometimes just books that help us think about the different types of students that we have, the different types of learners that we have in our classroom. And I picked this one up actually on accident because I'm going to college to get my master's degree in curriculum and instruction, and I'm taking this special education course, and our professor showed us a video about the Savage of Aveyron, I believe is how you pronounce it. And it's this little boy, and I found this book about him, and this is a feral child. So they find him, they think he's somewhere between 9 and 12 years old. He has a slash along his neck, so they believe that something happened with his family and they either couldn't feed him, or a lot of them believe that he had mental disabilities, possibly autism. And so they think that maybe his family tried to kill him and then they left him out in the woods and they didn't do a very good job, and he lived and he managed to live on his own. What happens is they decide that, I mean, he's been doing all of this all by himself all along, but now let's make him come and be part of society. So they pick him up and they try to force him to become part of society. One of the things I liked about the book is it's short and sweet. It doesn't have a lot that you have to read through, but it gives you a good explanation, and it also has some illustrations. So it kind of talks to you in that visual sense too, where you get these feelings. Now this book says that it's a biography. I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like it's actually historical fiction because a lot of the times the author is talking from the way the boy must have felt about things and the way he thought about things, and we can't possibly know that because he never really does become verbal, and he never does, he masters some parts of language, but not really. So this is in the very late 1700s. And it's in a time where, you know, they're still locking people in asylums. They're still doing extreme things to get rid of all of the mental illnesses. And they're not really teaching many children. They are teaching the children that are deaf mutes. So that is an institute where he ends up going after he's been studied by scientists and some other horrible things. So this shows, kind of tracks him through where he goes once they've picked him up, all the times he tries to run away, the different people in France that he kind of bounces around to and gets picked up by, and then who he finally ends up with, which is Dr. Itard. And then it talks about those programs that they try to use to try to teach him and to give him this sense of humanity, I suppose, is what they're trying to do. And then it talks about kind of how far he comes and when the funding stops, you know, where they kind of stop with him. So I thought this was a good book. If you do some research on it, you will see that Montessori actually picked up a lot of Dr. Itard's research that he did with this young man. Victor is the young man's name, by the way, Victor. Picks up a lot of that research and takes it forward into how to teach children with different mental abilities, and some of the things that we believe that we know about autism today. So I thought that this was a good book for teachers because it shows that relationship between this child who's struggling and this teacher, and it shows you some of the things that, for a lot of us like myself, I would find it hard to try to teach him the way that they did with the methods that they do because of how harsh it is. And I don't want to give too much of the book away because I want you to pick it up and read it for yourself. But it just shows you some of the harshness. But you do get to read some of the excerpts from the doctor's journal and find out a bit about why he thinks this is going to work and what his meaning is behind it. But it almost seems like Victor is more of a science experiment and less of a person oftentimes. So it's just an interesting look about how children with different abilities can be looked at and how they can often be treated. So again, this is Wild Boy, The Life of the Savage of Aveyron by Mary Le Sueur. And I got this actually in my school library. So I'm sure you can pick it up anywhere on YouTube or YouTube. This would be YouTube. You can pick it up anywhere, like in a bookstore or on Amazon, or possibly at your local library. So again, this is a good book for teachers. It teaches you a little bit about what this boy had to go through and what it might be like to be pulled out of, you know, what you see as normal and what you've accepted as your life, and to be forced into some other person's way of living life. So it gives you kind of a perspective of what it might be like in your classroom and the way that we might be treating some of these students. So I hope you pick up this book. I hope you enjoy the read. It's a really good read, pretty quick read, and with great illustrations. And that's my book talk for today. Thanks for visiting me. I'm Miss Guzman. Bye-bye.